Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris. On today's French Open draw reaction,
Djokovic and Sinner are drawn in separate halves.
Swiatek handed difficult path to the final.
And Monfils takes on Gaston as Wawrinka faces Fils in their final Roland Garros.
Kim, Chris, today is the 21st of May, and we are here to catch up on the French Open draws at Tennis Weekly HQ. On this episode, we are going to be diving into the men's and women's singles draw quarter by quarter, and we are going to be making some champion predictions, some bold predictions. We're going to be looking at everything that has come out today. Collector Set is also back, and we will be unveiling our player picks, which we want you to predict how far they will go in the chance to win a Tennis Weekly mug. So lots and lots to look forward to. A classic, a favourite episode of ours as we head into Grand Slam daily coverage at Tennis Weekly HQ. And it's rather exciting because, Chris, you are in Paris. You are actually at the draw and have been around the grounds today.
I have. I've been there all day. I mean, I've watched a lot of Sloane Stephens. I'm not sure how much, other insight I can provide apart from the usual pastry update from the draw ceremony. But it's very exciting today in Paris because Gale and Friends is happening right now with an all-star lineup. So that is happening with Novak Djokovic is playing. I think he's playing with Maria Sakkari on court right now. So all is go. And Paris, the opening week really has got started with a bang.
I know this is his farewell to Roland Garros event, but maybe they could just replicate this at other slams, Gale and Friends.
Do you think this is going to be the new Jannik Noah day? There'll be a Gale Monfils day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I would have just continued the 1 point slam. I don't know if that is copyrighted by Tennis Australia. It probably is, but I enjoyed that so much. I would have just loved to see that maybe at all the slams.
Well, this prize money debate, it's a good way of topping up the pot, isn't it? If a professional player wins.
The Grand Slam coffers.
But Chris, I want to know what pastries were on offer today. Very much appreciate the pastry update. Was there anything exciting that you've discovered in your time in Paris so far?
Well, this is the hard-hitting journalism that I'm here to do.
What pastries were at the live draw?
Well, it was the Petit Fours were out in force once again.
Interesting.
We had our usuals. I think last time I actually admitted to, putting back about
Taking
11
rather too many.
Madeleines. Yeah, I think I'm surprised I was allowed back in.
I would have done the same, I think.
Joel, I think there's a reason why you're not allowed to come to this. Yeah, you haven't made it on the Eurostar.
I would have just, rinsed the Madeleines.
I'd have to buy some snacks to keep you going. But there was a new one this year that I think you'll quite like hearing about, Kim, which is a cannelle, which is it's from Bordeaux, the very nice man told me, because I thought I've got to give you some, updates on this.
Yeah.
And it's a rum custard sort of baked in beeswax in a copper mold, but these were mini ones. So it was rather fancy. And if you've been to Bordeaux, you might be very familiar with this, but I wasn't. So
was it tasty?
It was honestly a 10 out of 10. I think it's up there with in podcast lore with the banana cheesecake.
Oh yes,
Coventry.
the fabled banana cheesecake. I'm still holding that as number one media catering food on offer, and that was it. I think what was so great about that was it was just so surprising.
And only
in the
you had
bowels
it.
of Coventry.
Did anyone else have that? No.
There can be, good cooking in Coventry.
Yeah, the orangery in Paris in the Botanical Gardens versus the Coventry Arena.
The basement
Billie Jean
of
King Cup for any of
arena.
our confused listeners.
Yeah, we were playing France at the time.
And it was France as well, yeah.
Yeah, it was another great ceremony. I always like to update whenever I've been on who was the guest of honor. I think last year we were rather spoiled because we had Dembele was there, given all the PSG activity. And it might happen again. This time, I'm not sure you'll be familiar with them. It was Tony Estanguet, who is a three-time Olympic canoeing champion. He won in Sydney, Athens, and then he came back 8 years later and won in London. And he was also president of the Paris 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games Organising Committee. So he was there. He talked a lot about being, a canoeist in French. I can't say I understood a word of it, but he did actually understand the significance of that name being drawn when Novak Djokovic was in a separate half to Jannik Sinner. He didn't understand initially why everyone was so tense, and then it kind of everyone relaxed. So he didn't get it wrong there, and then it was quite a smooth ceremony. The only other guest of honor was Coco Gauff, and normally we get both of last year's champions turn up. But obviously, the elephant in the room,
Poor
Carlos
Carlos.
Alcaraz was not able to be there. And if you want to know more about what we think about him not being there, you can listen to sort of a special podcast that we did. He's also not going to be at Wimbledon, sadly. But Coco was asked some questions I think, Joel, you can relate to.
Okay, here we
She
go.
was asked, what did she do when she won? And she took it very literally. And she said, well, I mean, when I won the US Open, I couldn't drink. So everyone was handing me a drink. So I drank it all, basically. So it seems
That is very relatable to Joel, I think.
Isn't it? It sounds like a Joel night out.
Champagne for Coco Gauff? Must have been.
I think she had a
Not
bit of
woo-woos.
that. She didn't mention a woo-woo, but I'm sure the people
Probably a
handing her
bit
the drinks
classier.
probably were classier than, your Weatherspoons app sort of
I
situation.
wonder if any like non-British tennis players have sort of checked out the Weatherspoons when they've been over in the UK.
Probably accidentally. I mean, maybe I can ask someone that. Probably in Wimbledon, we'd have to ask them to make it appropriate. But either way, Kim, I mean, I've had a great day. And now we've got to get down to business, haven't we? I can't
We
just talk
do.
about,
Food and
pastries and,
No.
all sorts.
Pastries weekly. Well, let's start with the men's draw because sadly we don't have defending champion Carlos Alcaraz here. So Jannik Sinner, of course, is the man of the moment of the year. Very much, I think, on for the title. But there are, 127 other players who may well
Good maths,
try to
Kim.
stop him. I know, I had to think then.
You take one off 128.
Yes. So let's start with his section because he's at the top of the draw. How are we feeling about his draw? Other seeds in his quarter, we've got Ben Shelton, we've got Alexander Bublik, Francis Tiafoe, Darderi, fellow Italian. But yeah, what were your initial thoughts? Is this plain sailing for Jannik? Joel?
I think this is a very comfortable and easy draw for Jannik Sinner. I don't even think, even if he turns up to Roland Garros tired, having played so much tennis, I don't think looking at this draw, he will be too worried about what faces him, particularly in the first week. Even the highest seed in his quarter, Ben Shelton, I thought he was going to be coming into Paris in a lot better form than I think he showed more recently. He won that title in Munich, but not really much else. So I think this is a stroll in the park for Jannik Sinner. And dare I say, maybe in a week's time, we will be looking back on the first week of Jannik Sinner's campaign, just kind of totting up how many games he's lost. I really think it's that simple for him.
Maybe we
More
should do
maths
that.
required.
Shall we do that? How many games is Jannik Sinner going to lose to get out of this quarter? So on an
I don't think it's
average,
going to be...
is it 5 matches to make the quarterfinals, Kim?
To make the
Four.
quarterfinals.
Four
Four
matches.
Yes, okay.
Um,
I
Average
don't
number
think it's
of
going to be
games.
many. I'm going to say 15.
Ooh,
That's very low. I've gone
I've got a bold
32.
prediction, which I'll let you know later. So I'm going to have to go a bit higher than 15.
I've gone 32.
27.
Okay.
27.
Right.
Quite
well,
varied.
someone needs to make a note of that, and then
Maybe
you can
my
come
maths
back
isn't
to
that
it.
good.
It is best of 5. So well, anyway, do you think though, Chris, looking at the other seeds in the draw, that it would be like a quarterfinal of Sinner and a seeded player, or is it maybe an opportunity for someone unseeded to come out of this? Well, not come out of this section, but to have the honour of losing to Sinner in the quarter.
The honour. It really would be an honour. I'm looking at the matchup of Mute Sinner. I think that could be a bit spicy. Maybe that's as exciting as it's going to get for Jannik Sinner in week 1. But this is as easy a quarter as I think I've probably ever seen at a slam. I don't mean to be like harsh to Ben Shelton because, as you said, he did win that title, but he did go out to Altmaier in Hamburg, which was not particularly impressive. And you look at the other players in this section, we've not seen huge amounts of form. Darderi has had some form. Bublik is obviously like up in the top 10. This was his breakthrough tournament last year where things turned around for him. But again, they're not players who I think would be able to test him, kind of especially on the surface.
One question, is there a worry for Jannik Sinner of the conditions in Paris? Because, Chris, you were telling me earlier before the pod, it could get up to 34 degrees in Paris. And we know Jannik Sinner has a history of cramping and, battling the elements. Do you think that could potentially be a factor?
I do. I think that's probably the biggest factor for Jannik Sinner. not winning this title will be how he manages the heat. The schedule might help him. I wouldn't be surprised if he requested a few more night matches because it will be that bit cooler. It does make a difference.
He will be getting that for Mute, I'm sure. I would have thought so if that does happen in round 3.
Well, I mean, I think maybe he'd want to. That might be a night session he wants to avoid. But either way,
his opener is a French wildcard as well. So you never know.
That's definitely going to be
his opener.
Not
that it's going to be competitive, you would think, but you never know. He's up against Clément Tabeur, French wildcard. So
that's a tough draw, but I think the French will get behind him. But I mean, having said that, I think it's not a tough section. But Kim, I can't believe you've glazed over Jaume
I'm
Minaur.
going to mention. Yeah,
okay,
I was going
sorry,
to mention
I took it away from you.
2 of my Spaniards, Jaume Minaur, of course, and also Martin Landaluce, who is potentially on for, I think, a 3rd round with Sinner, if they both get there.
That could be nice. You were going to name an alpaca after Martin Landaluce the other day, weren't you?
Yes, that is true. So I feel like good things are on the cards for him. But, he's already had a great season. So, I'm looking out to see what they can
There is also an unseeded Stefanos Tsitsipas in this
former
quarter,
finalist.
so
It doesn't feel right, does it?
It just
Set
feels
away
all
from
kinds
winning
of
it
wrong.
once. Yeah.
Sign of the times for him.
Well, let's look now at quarter 2 because here we have the 4th seed, Felix Auger-Aliassime.
I've got to stop you there. I was shocked when at the draw ceremony.
4th seed.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't sound right either.
I was like, how did I miss this? Because it just doesn't feel at all right. Like he hasn't won a Masters or anything like that.
He's not won a clay court title.
Right.
That might be why we're not predicting him. But I mean, who else have we got? We've got Medvedev as the 6th seed. We've got Flavio Cobolli, 10th seed. We've got Vachereau. We've got Lerner-Teen, Cameron Norrie for Britain, who's 20th seed. And of course, we have got on his final Roland Garros Gael Monfils as a wild card, playing a fellow French wild card, Hugo Gaston. So that's going to be a fun encounter, I think. Get the popcorn out for me for that one. But what are your initial thoughts? Who is coming through this section?
I feel like this is anyone's guess. I feel like it's so open given Auger-Aliassime, 4th seed, not really shown his best form on clay. Medvedev's come into some form a little bit, but his record at Grand Slams has been a bit patchy of late. And I noticed Lerner-Teen is also around him in the draw. So I honestly think this is anyone's guess. I'm actually looking at Vachereau as someone who might have a good run here. But I feel like I'm really clutching at straws. I genuinely think it could be anyone.
It is going to be tough, isn't it? I actually watched a bit of Sinner practicing with Vachereau today. And I mean, Vachereau was either going for too much, but he pretty much missed every return that he hit. So maybe he will improve. And I guess probably if you're missing Sinner returns, he could probably be forgiven because a lot of people are at the moment. I was going to say this is making me think we could get some surprise quarterfinalists. I think this could be a section where, I mean, it is somewhere where if you are playing well enough or you fancy your chances, you'll be thinking this could be really interesting. We've got players like Francisco Cerundolo, who does do pretty well on clay, and in Paris he's done pretty well. Also for Monfils, on a serious note, I mean, he could actually go on a bit of a run here.
Yeah.
And do we think that's actually on the cards, Kim?
Oh, I'd love to see it. I would absolutely love that. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, this is never going to happen. But what if he went and won the tournament and on his final Roland Garros?
He's been waiting until now.
That would be like the most unlikely but amazing, like fantastical sporting story.
Or if him and Svitolina won both,
Oh, yes. Amazing.
Yeah.
Come on, Joel, bring us
I'm gonna have to rain on the parade
reason.
here. Come on, guys, we've got to kind of get with
Bold
reality
predictions
here.
are for later, yeah.
Yes,
I do like. I think Fran Cerundolo is a good shout actually, and if
Thanks, Joel.
if there is someone
well
maybe,
done.
Yeah.
if there is someone maybe to maybe pose a little bit of a surprise, I think Cerundolo could be a good shout. I did also just want to point out we've got a Marin Cilic versus French wildcard Moise Kouame in the first round. Kouame is 17 years old. Marin
I've got my
Cilic.
eyes on him. Yeah, I think he could do
30,
something.
37?
He's 37. Massive
could be his
age gap
dad.
there. Yeah.
Could be his dad.
Yeah, wow. Gosh. But yeah, French wildcard Kouame, very, very young. Could he do a Lois Boisson of last year and go on a, unprecedented streak at his home event? We'll have to wait and see. But let's hope Cam Norrie has a decent Roland Garros as well, because last year I remember he got that win over Medvedev, which was quite fun, and he didn't do too badly, did he? So we'll have to see. Quarter three, though, let's move on to the bottom half of the draw, where a certain Novak Djokovic does make, well, his 82nd appearance in a Grand Slam singles event.
You can say at the French Open. I was like, he's not that old, is he?
Well, he has a great diet. He's very, he's got a great longevity, but I don't think it's that long. But yeah, he's beaten the Federer and Feliciano Lopez joint record of 81 slams, presuming he takes to the court on Sunday, Monday/Tuesday. So well done, Novak Djokovic. But yeah, he opens against French player Mpechi Pericard. So it's going to have to face a few big serves in that one. But what do you make of Djokovic's draw? Got Fonseca in there, Casper Ruud, Alex de Minaur,
Tommy Paul's doing well as well at the moment in Hamburg.
Well, Dino Prismic isn't far away, and he obviously lost to him recently. Conqueror. But I mean, if you're looking at a Novak Djokovic draw, you have to remember how well he does in these early stages. I think Pericard is dangerous. He can serve you off the court, but he also can't really return you off the court if we're being...
and has no backhand.
Yeah, if we're being completely honest. So I'm
and
not...
it's a clay court, so...
Yeah, at home he could be inspired, but I'm not sure he's going to cause an upset there. If you look a bit deeper, Fonseca would be a very entertaining clash. Again, I do think Djokovic would have the edge there. Where it gets a bit tricky is where Casper Ruud might kind of crop up there. And he's kind of been a bit of a victim of the fact that Casper Ruud is quite lowly seeded for someone who does so well at the French. Like typically he's into the Geneva semi-finals. He's had some great form. I guess the question is, will he run out of legs? Because he's playing, I mean, he'll have to play
a lot,
2 more matches at least. And then I think he's playing on either Sunday or Monday because the bottom half are playing first. So that's a lot of tennis for Casper. So that might help Djokovic in that respect. But I mean, I'm not thinking there's someone here who looks like they could absolutely wipe the floor with him. I think it's a pretty clean draw, if I'm being completely frank.
I'm always skeptical about players who do play and do well the week before, because I think semis or beyond at like the pre-tournaments, I just think, are you going to come in and fresh? And I think they often fall foul of an early.
I also think, Kim, like if I'm here and I'm not playing the tournament, you should be here if you're playing the tournament. I feel like it's a bit late to get somewhere and do your preparation because you haven't really hit that much on the courts. And I mean, it's going to affect you.
Do you think it's a bit surprising? I'm sure it was already in the schedule, but do you think it's a bit surprising Casper Ruud opted to play Geneva, given how well he did in Rome?
Could be contractual. It could also be that he actually felt like, hang on a minute, I'm playing really well.
I need to make the most of this moment.
Maybe he's feeling really good and fit.
I mean, as you said, he is lower down the rankings. These weeks are good weeks to bump up.
I probably would have. I probably wouldn't have played Geneva if I was him. It doesn't mean he can't go and win it all, but at the same time, I think he's a big time player, or he should be, and the French Open is where he needs a deep run. So I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't finish Geneva.
I am slightly worried that Rublev, round 1, has got a player I've never heard of, but is in the semi-finals, I think, of Hamburg.
Yes.
Ignacio Busse, I hope I'm saying that right, Peruvian tennis player. I'm slightly nervous as a Rublev fan. I think that could be quite a tough opener.
I mean, he bageled Mensik, which is crazy when you think about it. He's 22, and he's peaking in his career right now. He's at his career high ranking, and he seems to think that he can do almost anything. I mean, he pushed Tiafoe in Rome. He's had some really great results. So that would be exciting. And we have seen Rublev go down against some young guns, like Fonseca had a breakthrough win against him. So,
oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, that could be tricky. One player no one is talking about really is de Minaur. Do we think he might do something?
Should we be
here?
talking about him? I don't think we should be.
I mean, he's playing at the moment, I think, Darderi in Hamburg as we're recording this. So, I mean, he's normally so consistent, isn't he, Alex, in slams? But he's just
lost to Arnaldi and Jodar
of late
in Rome and Madrid. And he lost to Jodar 3-1.
Well, he
Yeah,
is
that's
up
good.
very comfortably against Darderi. He's 6-love, 4-1 up. So maybe the form is kicking in. Who knows? But I guess we're all probably on maybe the predictions. I don't think Djokovic is going to predict. Well, Djokovic, I don't think Joel. I'm not calling you Djokovic. You're
And
not the
later,
goat of the
Djokovic is
podcast.
joining us to give his
Yeah.
prediction.
I sense there could be an upset in
You
round
always
two.
love to
I
predict an
know.
upset for Novak
Alexander
Djokovic.
Block's having a good clay season. I think he could test de Minaur
Young Belgian.
if they both make it.
Okay.
But I think it is
that's
a good part.
one.
I think it's a good part of the draw, to be honest.
That could be
I
a
think
quarterfinalist.
There's a
Blocks,
lot
couldn't
of
it?
yeah. There's a lot of
I was debating whether to go for blocks, but I mean, just going back to Djokovic quickly, do you think he'll be relieved he is in the opposite side to Sinner, or just do you think he would rather face him kind of when he's got a bit more in his legs, maybe than a potential final? You know, thinking about the Australian Open semi where he, got him out of the way. But yeah, what do you think? Or as a tournament whole, are we glad that they're in opposite sides so we could get that as the final?
I mean, a huge collective sigh of relief in the draw ceremony. I think we're all rejoicing with this because, we're looking at the names on this in terms of clay court pedigree and Grand Slam pedigree, and there's not much really. The big names are not necessarily there. And if you have a stacked draw, it's going to make it a lot less entertaining for fans. It's also going to mean that you lose big players sooner. So tournament, I think definitely would rather they were in separate halves. I even had a conversation with someone where we said, we're not for corruption in sports, but it would be quite nice if they could be on separate halves, if they could rig it that way. And then I think maybe I shouldn't admit to that. I didn't have a hand in it. I was not involved. I was nowhere near, the
That's your true role at the draw ceremony.
Yeah, I know, fixing it. You're starting a rumour, Kim. But it's great news for him. I think probably he'd rather play him in a semi-final. And then have someone who will feel the pressure more in a final.
Yes, to get number 25.
That would be my take. I think Sinner in a final, I'm not sure how that would go. I think the semi-final he's lost him in semi-finals too, but I felt like it was the moment to do it. So, Joel, disagree with me?
I would disagree with you. I just think from a headline point of view, without Alcaraz, you think about what is potentially the most exciting headline we could get from the men's tournament. And I think it would be a final where it's Grand Slam 25 on the line versus Jannik Sinner, career Grand Slam on the line, given what happened last year. So I'm glad from that point of view they are on opposite sides of the draw. I'm not convinced though that Novak Djokovic reaches the final, but I do think his path maybe is made a touch easier. And I do wonder with Sinner, given what happened last year, if he reaches a final, what pressure does that build? That's a new situation for him. So I think Djokovic would prefer to face him, I think, in a final where anything can happen.
Well,
it would be the headline of all headlines,
side, I think. Yeah, I think it would be interesting. I was going to say, when you said the biggest match of the tournament, I'd argue that Gaston Monfils will be bigger for the French crowd. I think that's their final in round one, than Djokovic Sinner. But that's just the French. They love watching their own play.
I do wonder if Djokovic's body will be the thing that defeats him, with niggles and something coming up. I can see a situation of him withdrawing due to.
You do like to predict that. I watched him today and I thought he didn't look like he was that energetic. I'm not sure he's 100%, I'd say. But I'm not the man. I don't know, but it wasn't convincing.
If it goes to the projection and we get Ruud Djokovic, you just feel like Ruud, he's going to be able to work Djokovic potentially around the court.
I think he might crumble under the pressure. This is exciting. We've got some differences in opinion.
Depends how much he exerts in Geneva.
He's going to win Geneva.
For. It might be, Sinner's dominating. There's lots of other subplots and stories that
a bit like the Tour de France, races within races. I feel like predictions within predictions for us.
Yeah, well, let's look at the final quarter. Right at the very bottom, we've got second seed Sasha Zverev. We have also got Taylor Fritz, Yuri Lehechka, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, Humbert Fils, of course, Arthur Fils, who is back doing well, home crowd here. And we've also got Rafael Jodar, who is seeded for the very first time at a Grand Slam. It'll be really interesting to see how he does in his I guess, the first slam where we all know who he is, and he's, we're expecting stuff from him. So yeah, where are you going with this one? Is Zverev a standout to come through this quarter? Joel, you're looking a bit skeptical.
I think Zverev's got quite a nice draw. I think Fils maybe could pose a little bit of a challenge, but I'm actually more excited, I think, in the other half, because Taylor Fritz being here, I'm not sure he's going to be the biggest threat, given he's not really played that much. I wouldn't even be surprised if he drops out before play starts. But I think this opens up opportunities for other players around him. And as you mentioned, Kim, Rafael Jodar is near him in the draw. I think he's got a great position in the draw as a whole. So I think for me, Zverev, maybe there's a few bumps on the road, but I think there's opportunities again for players further up, and I'm looking at Jodar.
Yeah, Chris.
Zverev has been pretty unconvincing. I do think an upset is on the cards. Machak could be a tricky, second round opponent.
Yeah.
I know. I just think that he's not necessarily
consistent.
Or in the right mind at the moment. I'm not sure. He's a bit of an enigma in that way, whether he is going to rise to the challenge. I mean, he did just kind of roll over for Sinner last time they played.
He is consistent at the French. I mean, 2021 semi-final, 2022 semi-final, 2023 semi-final, then the final, quarterfinals last year. So it is consistent slam, but I know what you mean. I think he is not
I'm less
in
convinced
that
this year.
frame of mind, right frame of mind.
I think it's that. I think Lehechka could have a good run. I'm more optimistic about Fils, but I think I always am. I think he has a really good draw. And hopefully he can kind of do something really special, because, a home hope, such a great talent, such a great clay swing, and such an unfortunate end that I was watching on court last year, where he was basically sidelined for the rest of the season. So he deserves a good run. So I'm hoping.
No worries over Wawrinka in round one. I think that's still
round one for Wawrinka.
Round one for Wawrinka.
Bit of a tongue twister there.
That is tough. I don't think that will be tricky. I think we might have a tie break in one set, but
okay.
There's life in the young generation, isn't there?
Shall we attempt some predictions then for the men's side?
Okay.
We'll do our quarters, then semis, final.
Should we do our winner first? Just get it out of the way.
Well, work backwards. Yeah. I think we probably all got the same winner. I think it might rhyme with winner as well. But let's do let's just read out our quarter by quarter. Okay. All right. Quarter one, Joel.
Sinner Bublik.
Oh, I've gone for Sinner Griegspoor.
Kim.
It doesn't matter at this point, Kim.
I know.
Have you been having any French wine this evening? Please hold up your nearest glass.
Not yet.
Okay.
I have a nice
Hang on.
rooibos
Griegspoor
tea.
has a win over Sinner.
He does.
Ooh,
Sinner didn't
I'm
complete
calling
the
it
match.
now.
But Sinner didn't complete that match.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
I'm very much not in the Griegspoor lane, but I did see Potapova, his girlfriend, walking her dog today. That's not part of the prediction. Sorry, Sinner Bublik.
Okay, so I'm the outlier here. Quarter two, Joel.
I've gone Vachereau versus Medvedev. I was very tempted to go with Cerundolo, but I'm sticking with Medvedev.
I've gone really rogue, and I've gone for Moise Kouame, the French 17-year-old wildcard, to reach the quarters, and he will play Fran Cerundolo when he gets there. Why not? Chris?
Wow.
That would be huge.
Might be affecting the credibility of the podcast by
It
stating
might.
that.
I've already derailed it with Potapova and men's predictions, but I'm going Nori Cerundolo.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
I would
okay, I
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah, nice. Quarter three?
I've gone Rublev versus Ruud.
I've gone for Alex de Minaur against Ruud. I feel Alex is going to get that slam form back to a certain extent. Chris?
I've gone de Minaur Djokovic. I feel like
Okay.
Djokovic, come on, guys. This is a big opportunity. 25's on the line.
Yeah, I just thought his body might get to him.
I just can't see him getting past Ruud at the moment.
When does it ever get to him before a quarterfinal these days?
Well, how old is he going to be? 39?
Wait, it was his birthday today.
Oh,
Was it?
literally today.
I
Oh,
saw
it's
him.
Andy Murray's. That was last week, Andy Murray's.
I saw him. I didn't wish him happy
Yeah.
birthday. Goodness.
Oh, no, I think
Sorry,
his is the
his
22nd.
birthday is tomorrow. My bad. I
Oh,
got
okay,
too
good.
that's
excited.
right. You can see him
Yeah.
He's
tomorrow.
39 years old
I'll be in
tomorrow.
his press conference
22nd of
tomorrow,
May.
so maybe
A
we'll sing
vegan
to him.
cake.
Yeah,
Okay.
vegan
Yeah.
cake.
Ask
He
him
can't
how
have
he
anything
celebrated.
Yeah, exactly. I'll ask.
Learn what it is in Serbian. I'm sure he'll be impressed. Okay, quarter 4.
I have gone Jodar versus Zverev.
I've gone for exactly the same. Yeah, big hopes for Jodar.
I've gone Jodar, Hodar, as I should say, and Feast.
Okay, nice. So let's give us your semis and final and champion. Let's do the final bit. Joel.
Sinner, Medvedev, Ruud, Zverev, and then my final is a repeat of the Italian Open. I've got Sinner versus Ruud, and I mean, surprise, surprise, I've got Jannik Sinner as my champion.
Mm-hmm. I've got fairly similar. I've got Sinner, Cerundolo, Ruud, Zverev, and then I've got a Sinner Zverev final though, and with Sinner winning.
1v2 with one winning, Kim. That's actually frowned upon on this podcast.
Oh gosh, yeah, I've just
Yes.
realised that.
I could
feel like
I
do
could
that all the time.
easily
see
see
that,
that
yeah.
happening. Yeah,
We would do that if it was Alcaraz to Sinner, wouldn't we? So
That's true.
it'd be even more predictable if Alcaraz was in the draw.
I feel like I've gone the roguest. I've gone Sinner, Cerundolo, Djokovic, Feast, and I think a Frenchman is making the final. I think it might be Sinner, Feast.
Oh wow.
But he did retire after
Amazing.
4 games in his last tournament, so I'm not necessarily onto one there.
yeah. Is Feast's body gonna last
That's the
2
biggest
weeks?
concern, but then he's up against Djokovic, and that's also another question
Okay.
about the body.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, well, okay. What about a bold prediction that we haven't maybe covered, or, just anything from the whole 128
You've already done your
players?
bold prediction. You've got a 17-year-old wild
Yeah,
card
Kim,
making
your-
the quarters.
Your predictions were just a set
predictions
of
are just bold.
of bold predictions.
Yeah, I'm going to say Landa Luce is going to take a set off Sinner in the 3rd round. There's another one for you.
She's dropping all of these predictions, old ones. What have you gone for, Joel?
I'm going to say Sinner's going to set a record for bagels en route to a Grand Slam final. I don't even know what the record is, but I think he's going to I think he's just going to dominate. And it's
Well, at least you're consistent, because he said he's losing 15 games to
Yeah.
the quarterfinals.
I sort of have to. I feel like I
Yeah.
sort of have to say that.
got
I'm
to
also
go on a
going to say. I think
rampage.
I'm going to say Ben Shelton out in round 1. And I've got Djokovic will be pushed all the way by Fonseca. So if that matchup does happen, I'm going to say it's going 5.
Right. I can't quite trump that. I'm saying Monfils round 3, 5 sets against Cerundolo. I think that's going to be an epic. Zverev's not making the quarterfinals. I've gone Hodar will bagel Fritz,
Ooh.
and I think I'm leaving it there.
Okay. Well, listeners, let us know. Do you completely disagree with our predictions? Have you got any bold ones of your own? Do let us know on social media. We'd love to hear what you think of the men's draw. And we're going to take a quick break now, but do join us in the second half, where we'll be discussing the women's draw and unveiling our collect a set player picks as well. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast, and we are going to continue our preview of the Roland Garros singles draws with our women's draw, and we've got 4 quarters to dissect, and then we'll be making our women's predictions as well, including those bold predictions. So we'll see if they're as bold as the men's ones. Let's commence with top seed, world number 1, Aryna Sabalenka, who is still yet to win a Roland Garros title and came close last year by losing to Coco Gauff in the final. She opens up against one of my faves, Jessica Boozer's Monero. And she's also got JPEG in her quarter. She's got Victoria Mboko, young Canadian. Naomi Osaka is there. Iva Jovic, the young American, also in that section. What do you think of Sabalenka's draw? Would she be happy with this draw, do you think, Chris?
I think it's really tough, if I'm honest. I think all of the most dangerous seeds, I think, who just missed out on a better seeding are all kind of in here. I think Osaka could be an absolute nightmare. You also have, players like Kasatkina unseeded, who's also lurking in her part of the draw. I mean,
Navarro's in semi-finals at the moment in Strasbourg.
Exactly.
So is Mboko as well.
Mboko,
They're doing well in Strasbourg.
And I think there's a lot of risk here. Naomi Osaka as well. I think, not to say that I don't think she's going to come through it, but this is not an easy section of the draw, I don't think.
Especially because, she's just obviously lost to Castella and Baptiste. I would have, I would have said, if this had happened at the start of the clay season, I've been like, yeah, this is an absolute stroll. But I wonder how confident Sabalenka is, given those results. I think because of those, I think week one for me becomes a lot more interesting for Sabalenka because we've seen these wobbles, we've seen these dips. And, as you said, Chris, there could be some tricky tests early on.
She does always turn up at the slams, though. I think that's where I don't necessarily think she's not going to make it to like round 4. But then, Naomi Osaka can do some crazy things at the French Open. She can also lose in round 1 like she has done more recently. But I mean, Pegula as well on her day, not a clay quarter, but very dangerous. And we haven't even mentioned Madison Keys, Australian Open champion from last year. I just feel like Mboko, the nature of this, the mixture of players in here mean that whoever she's playing, as you say, Joel, she has not been playing that well. And so it makes you think, could they pose a threat? Not that she won't get past them.
It's more like one match at a time.
Yes.
I can't look as far forward as say with Jannik Sinner.
Not a foregone
the
conclusion.
Confidence isn't there like it is with Sinner, but I do think she is like queen consistency at slams in the last few years. So I'll sort of stick with that for now for me. I mean, there's a really good first round match. I think hopefully it'll be good. Anyway, Iva Jovic against Alex Ayala, very much one of the young guns. Ayala sort of dropped off a bit of late, but this will be the first time they've ever met, and might be a sign of some things to come. I would expect Jovic to come through that one.
I think Osaka might go out round 1 if I'm.
I can't be in another press conference.
I think Siegemund is tough. I mean, I completely forgot Siegemund's been in the quarterfinals of the French Open.
Yeah.
Is this going to be your bold prediction? You've already ruined.
20. Was that match against Sabalenka last year at Wimbledon? That was crazy, wasn't it?
She reached the quarterfinals there. She was quarterfinals at the French Open in 2020, but
not long.
Yeah,
ago,
I think that's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
A lot of slices, a lot of spins she won't enjoy, but I think Osaka is, she's too good to go out to Siegemund in round 1, I think.
Well, we will wait and see. Let's have a look at quarter 2, where we've got defending champion Coco Gauff as the 4th seed. She's got fellow American Anisimova there as the 6th seed, but we've also got stalwart Elise Mertens. We've got Potapova, who was on our clay power rankings.
Walking her dog today, yes.
Walking her dog today, that's always helpful.
The very little toy poodles, lovely.
And we've also got Lois Boisson is lurking here as well. Last year's semi-finalist. She's not seeded, but she's. I wonder if she can back up her run last year at all, or whether she'll be out first round to Kalinskaya. That will have to see. But yeah, what do you make of Coco Gauff's pathway to defending her title, Chris?
Tough first round for sure against someone that she's good friends with, who's a very good player. I mean, do not underestimate Taylor Townsend on a big stage. The only thing I'd say is that does Taylor Townsend believe she's going to beat Coco Gauff, even if it does get close? I think first round matches, Coco said she does get nervous sometimes. I still think she's going to get through that one. And I think the more you look into the draw, that is a tricky Potapova clash. I think we put her in our clay power ranking. She's had some great form and she's had some really great kind of grind on the clay. She played qualifying after she made that great result in Madrid. She's played a lot of matches, a lot of confidence. And I think that's what you need in some of these big moments. And under pressure, we'll have to see how Coco Gauff does there. But I think she will be playing it one match at a time. I think title defenses are tricky. It's easy to get nervous. And I think that you don't want to look too far ahead in the draw and deal with it, if it happens. But she's been playing well in Rome. And I think the draw isn't terrible, but that third round is tricky.
Yeah, I think in this quarter, for me, Potapova's the trickiest player for Gauff. I see Anisimova not really. I think she's coming back from injury, not really been on the clay that much. And yeah, I mean, I'm know, Anne Lee. These
Anne
are names
Lee,
I'm just.
Kim's favourite.
And well, she's in the Strasbourg semis.
Is
as well.
she?
She
You must be
is.
thrilled, Kim.
I
Do you have it
am.
on right now? Goodness. I mean,
Well, I'm recording this podcast, so no.
oh, sorry. Yes, okay. When you've been
But,
partial
yeah.
to putting on a player or two, wasn't Pennington Jones on behind you the other
Pennington
day?
Jones
Secretly.
was on, yeah.
But
Sadly, he
I
lost.
was going to ask you both about Brasson. Do we think there's a chance she might have another run?
Does lightning strike twice?
No, I cannot see it. I cannot see it. I think she's losing first round to Kalinskaya.
Yeah,
I probably
can't
think
see
so
her
too.
doing her magic again, sadly.
Well, on that note,
I am interested in Qinwen Zheng, another unseeded player, because she's been come back from injury. You would typically expect her to be seeded.
Olympic gold medalist in Paris. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
she likes these calls.
Took Rybakina to 3 sets as well in Madrid. So I think she could be, for me, an interesting one to watch in this quarter.
If
Katie Porter as well for Britain in there with a wild card. That's surely a winnable opener against an American wild card that, well, I've certainly never heard of, a Kasha Ahobo. So hopefully Katie can get a few wins.
It must be the reciprocal wild
belt.
card. So she must have won something to get here. So a win in Paris is a pretty, well, not the most common thing, for us. So it'd be great to see if she can go on a little bit of a run.
Do you think Sabalenka would be happy that she's got Gauff in the potential semi-final lineup, or would she have preferred Iga Swiatek or what have you? Because obviously, if she is to play Gauff this time around, it'll be a round earlier than last year.
I think we're all secretly hoping, and I am a Coco Gauff fan, but I want a Swiatek versus Sabalenka final at some point. I think clay would be really interesting. I'd love to see it. I also think
we've got to break the hoodoo over that at some point.
We have.
It's got to happen. Come on,
not happening. So I don't think
if we're not getting Alcaraz Sinner, we need Swiatek Sabalenka.
The ladies are going to step up, I think, and maybe we'll get some really good clashes because it's so many players who could win this. I think it is wide open.
Will we get a ladies' night session? That's
no, obviously not.
$1 million question.
Ask Amazon. I think they're going to say no again, especially if they didn't put Brasson on last year. I don't think they're going to find the opportunity here.
Sad. Okay. Well,
Kim, that was my bold prediction.
Oh, what?
Wait,
the female match should be on the night session.
Everyone, please keep them to yourself. That's actually too bold.
That was actually too bold. Yeah,
too bold. But I'm sure it'll
crazy talk.
Again. The argument, the debate around it, I'm sure will come up again, and rightly so. But we're kind of expecting it this time, aren't we? Let's have a look at the third quarter. The second half now, where we do have Iga Swiatek as the third seed, but perhaps maybe more excitingly, we've also got Aryna Svitolina, recent Rome champion. We've also got Marta Kostyuk, who, both of them topped our clay power rankings the other day.
Marta Kostyuk.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Absolutely. We've also got, Ostapenko, former champion in this section, Belinda Bencic, Clara Tauson. So, yeah, quite a stacked section, I think, in terms of some players who have some recent form. Who is going to come through this one? Is it going to be the 4-time Roland Garros champion Iga Swiatek? Chris?
I think she's building to something bigger. I'm not sure it's going to be a title here, but I think the form really has returned. I think she's going to play some great tennis in Paris. One question mark I do have is that every time you see Ostapenko near Swiatek, you have to be a little bit alert. I mean, alarm bells could ring out for Swiatek fans, especially for Iga herself, because the record speaks for itself. She is not winning matches against her and not really looking like she's close to. And there's something that happens to Jelena Ostapenko when she sees Iga Swiatek on the opposite side of the court, and she just goes into this sort of God mode. So that could be a risk. But if she can get past that, I mean, Kostyuk, that could be a great match. But again, it's tough. She's got to beat some top players to get to, even the quarterfinals, and then things get even tougher after that. So I think it's a draw to test her, and I think we'll find out which Iga Swiatek is now, stepping up.
And funnily enough, Svitolina is also she's definitely playing a player that has bit of recent history, shall we say, that she's not done so well against, and that's Anna Bondar of Hungary, who recently beat her and also beat her at the US Open, I think, last year.
Joel, tell us more about this. Yeah, you've been looking into this.
Yeah, I think you fixed the draw specifically for this streak to be going on, because Svitolina and Bondar have played each other at the last 3 Grand Slams, going back to Roland Garros last year, where Svitolina defeated Bondar in straight sets. Svitolina then defeated Bondar round 1 in Wimbledon, but Bondar defeated Svitolina at the US Open in round 1 in straight sets, 6-2, 6-4. And Bondar, of course, defeated Svitolina in Madrid very recently. So that might be more interesting than, maybe one to keep an eye on.
Law. But did they play in Australia for its consecutive slams? That's my big question.
Oh, of course, yes.
In the order of slams. I don't think
they did not play. They did not play in Australia.
They swapped Australia for Madrid.
Yes, there we go.
Yes, got it.
But Marta Kostic's, I would just add, Marta Kostic's an interesting one, because actually, if you look at her French Open record,
abysmal, isn't it? I remember
it's not great. So is this the year that she's gonna
win a match?
Right that wrong? Win a match?
I think she might win a match. Someone else who I think is going to win a match, I think Svitolina. I think there's going to be something magical happening in the Monfils household. I think she's going to do something quite special, inspired by her husband, as well as kind of her recent Rome run. I mean, the French crowd love her. I think this is the best chance for her winning a slam. And I'm doing, well, I won't go too far into my predictions, but I'm doing what Kim does. When I want something to happen, I don't predict it.
Oh, I see. Right. Well, yeah, I also see that Sophia Kenin is in this section, former finalist. I'm always waiting for her to kind of have a deep run again.
Why were you laughing when you said that, Kim? Former finalist, former Australian Open champion as well.
Well, yeah, but former finalist at the French in that funny COVID year when it was in October.
Against Iga, yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm always waiting for her to have another run. So
Kim,
maybe,
she lost in
hopefully.
Strasbourg qualifying.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. But yeah.
Well,
moving on.
What about Danish talent? That could be a great match. Torsen Kenin, if that happens.
Yes, that could be.
I'll be courtside for that one, Kim.
See if it's going to be a windy day.
Hope it's a windy day.
Torsen is an excellent wind player.
She really is.
Right. The final quarter, we've got Rybakina as the second seed. We've also got Mira Andreeva, Hailey Baptiste, who's had a bit of a run of good form lately, some good wins. Mukova's in here, Paolini. She got to a final here, didn't she? What, 2 years ago? Was that her year of sort of success, big success? Samsonova's here. Barbora Krejcikova
Raducanu
is here as well. And Emma Raducanu, of course.
Magdalena Fretch.
With her new coach. Magdalena Fretch is here. Yes. I mean, gosh, thoughts on this section. Fairly deep with the likes of Rybakina, Andreeva, Paolini, some sort of former, maybe players who aren't currently in the greatest form, but certainly some with some good pedigree behind them.
I want to hear what Joel has to say about this. He thinks Andreeva's on for something, I think. Is that right? Yeah,
I think Andreeva, I think she's in a good part of the draw. I think that the cards have fallen kindly here. And I think, this is a great opportunity for her. My only concern for Mira Andreeva is we've seen her in big moments recently, crying and, not maybe her mentally maybe a little bit kind of more fragile than perhaps she needs to be. And at the French Open, when the crowds are going to be big, they're going to be noisy. I would wonder later on in the tournament if she can make it. How is that going to impact her game, or will it? Because I think she's going to need to be strong-willed, I think, in order to have a good chance. But certainly, I think if you look at her draw, I think it's a very good one. I think I'd rather be on her side as opposed to Rybakina, because she's got, as we've mentioned, Castella and Baptiste have defeated Sabalenka recently. Paolini, I'm still expecting her to kind of come through this, but again, I think I would rather be in Andreeva's position.
There's some tricky names there, as you say. I mean, Christea, I think she might do something here.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a bold prediction I might add to my list, it might be that Christea makes another Grand Slam quarterfinal. I mean, I would not be surprised given the fact that she's in her final season and she's got the bit between her teeth when it comes to,
18th seed. Yeah. Will she still retire? I mean, it's
well, she
funny
said
how
if she won Rome, she
play
wouldn't.
better.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the magic that you can't really kind of put your finger on. You're finishing, so you want to go out on a high.
You just go. You don't have that stress.
We didn't talk about this actually. She's made her top 20 debut, I think, at the age of 36, which is the oldest player to make her top 20 debut. So whatever happens to her, her ranking is only going to go up towards the end of the year because she's got nothing really to defend. So I'd like to see her have a run, but I do think, as you say, I think Rybakina, I think Mukova might do well. I think Andreeva's going to get pretty deep. A lot of the usual names, really.
Thoughts on Emma Raducanu?
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk
thoughts?
about.
Second round, maybe?
Has she got a good draw? Do we think she's got a good draw? She's got an unseeded player, but also we know that Sierra is a very handy clay court player. So, do you think she should be going into that expecting to win, or do you think that's going to be a tough challenge for her?
She's on a learning curve, I think, again, to learn how she played before. Physically, she's on the comeback trail. She looked pretty decent in Strasbourg. I think it was a good effort. I think this is a building block to Wimbledon. It's probably how she's seeing it in the training block with her new coach. So I think expectations are low, and I think that could benefit her. Could be free hitting. She could be quite aggressive and see what happens. The serve is a bit of an issue at the moment. Maybe they're doing some things to that. But, I mean, I'm not looking too deep for the Raducanu run here. I think we've got to see her play a few more matches before she's going to do something big.
Yeah, agreed. We've also got Fran Jones in this section opening against Haddad Maia, who is not seeded. So that'd be a good win if Fran Jones can get it. But we'll keep a lookout for her. Let's go on to our women's predictions then. So we'll do the same format. Might come to you first though, Chris, for the quarters. So let's go quarter by quarter and see who we've all got. So quarter one, Chris.
Sabalenka and Boko.
Okay, I've gone for Sabalenka and Pegula. I was tempted with Boko, but I thought, is she going to go deep at Strasbourg and then not have the freshness? Or is there going to be a lot of hype and then she's not quite going to...
She might miss the train and not make it. You never know.
Well, the French railways could go on strike. Joel?
I've got Sabalenka JPEG as well.
I was on a train to and from Strasbourg, and that was very, very slow. And we didn't make it back to our final destination in the end. We had to.
So you've got real experience you should share with Boko ahead of her arrival in Paris.
Avoid the trains. Yeah,
if you're listening, Victoria.
Get a chauffeur.
Yes.
Okay, quarter two, Chris.
I've gone Gauff versus Zheng.
Okay, I've gone for Coco Gauff as well, but I've gone for Anne Lee, who is also in Strasbourg. But I thought
like that.
She's going to make the train.
Yeah, she's making that train. And I just thought, she's been doing well. Let's get her in the quarterfinals. Joel.
Well, I've also got Gauff Zheng.
Okay, right. Getting some consistency here. I think more consistent than our men's predictions. Quarter three, Chris.
Surely we've all gone for Svitolina Swiatek.
Yeah.
I have as well, yeah.
I've gone the same as well. Hard to see past that, to be honest.
I'd love to see it. I mean, that'd be a fantastic match. Quarter four, Chris.
I've gone Mukova Rybakina.
I've gone Mukova Baptiste.
I've gone with the seeds. I've gone Andreeva Rybakina.
Nice. Okay.
So the only seed you went rogue on was a former Olympic gold medalist in Paris.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
It's not that rogue, is it? Yeah.
No. Okay. Who are your semis final champion, Chris?
I've gone Sabalenka Gauff in my first semi-final. My second semi-final, I've gone for Svitolina versus Rybakina. And then I've gone for a Sabalenka Svitolina final. And I think it's just a head-to-head where the big hitting is too big. Also, don't want to jinx it, but I think Sabalenka is going to get her first Roland Garros title.
But first final for Svitolina, though, at a slam.
Yes.
So that's exciting.
Gail will be there, courtside. It will be a big moment.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've gone for Sabalenka against Gauff, Swiatek Mukova, and I've got a Sabalenka Swiatek. final
Ooh.
with Swiatek winning.
We'd love to see
So
it.
she's going to get number 5. Yeah, number 5.
Yes, number 5.
Yeah. Gosh. Joel, what about yourself?
Okay, this is where I do go rogue because I have
Right.
Pegula taking out Sabalenka in quarterfinal 1, and I've got Pegula Gauff
What
All-American top half semi-final, and Swiatek Rybakina, and my final is Coco Gauff Iga Swiatek, and I've got Iga Swiatek as my champion.
Interesting.
So 2 Swiateks and a Sabalenka for our champions.
I did not think I'd be in the minority with Sabalenka there, but I mean, Iga's won it before.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Grand National. You sort of think, who's
Who's
got
your money
the
on?
real form?
I feel
has proven they can go.
I mean,
all the
I'm
way
looking
here
so far ahead,
many
but
times.
JPEG's consistency, I think, could do Sabalenka in at the
On
moment.
clay. Come on.
Yes.
She won Charleston, but I think we're in a dreamland, Joel. But
Okay.
maybe that's your bold prediction. You've started with that. Do you have any more bold predictions, Joel?
I've got Osaka going out to Siegemund in round 1.
She's going to get ruffled by Siegemund.
It's not going to be pretty then, is it?
I mean, I think Anne Lee
Raducanu to make round
quarters
3.
is quite bold. I think Kenin might make the 4th round. Even though she lost
Kim,
in Strasbourg
did you not hear what I said earlier?
You get
Kenin
these
lost
wrong.
She lost in
qualifying.
Strasbourg qualifying, I know.
Selek Mateva 6-1 in the 3rd. That
Right.
does not give round 4 French Open Kenin.
You know, she got double bageled by
She got double
Azarenka
bageled,
before
yeah.
she made that French Open final from
Final.
Rome to Paris. So she
Okay.
does like her fortunes to change.
From rags to riches.
I've got some better predictions than all of you. I thought Christea is going to make her first Grand Slam semi. I didn't predict that, but I'm saying
You
it
didn't
now.
predict that though.
No, I'm having fun, Kim. It's fine.
Okay.
Sloane Stephens will take out a seed. I don't think they're going to be a very high seed, but a seed. And I have Swiatek will get her first win over Ostapenko. And I've got
I like that.
4 of them. Raducanu will take out Paolini. In fact, actually, Swiatek taking out Ostapenko is what you need, you two, more than anything. So I've done you a favor
we do.
there.
Is there can I ask Chris, anything you're hoping for maybe from like the press room that you'll be in over the next few days? Is there anyone in particular you want to get and maybe confuse or befuddle?
I would like a good
or,
answer from Iga. I think last time, as we alluded to before, I wasn't the best one. I want to see if anyone walks out after 15 minutes. We can talk about it probably on a round 1 or maybe on like a journal to come. But this whole idea that they're going to walk out in 15 minutes. So I might not get my questions in, Kim. So I'd say try and get a question in. I'd love to ask Djokovic something about kind of the absence of Alcaraz, how he feels about that. I think that could be very interesting. And, I'll be front row for Sloane Stephens press. So I'm not necessarily kind of focusing on the big names. It's more personal things that I'd like to do. So listeners, if you have anything you want to also ask, do ping us. Email us, tennisweeklypod@gmail.com, and we can see if I get to ask Sloane Stephens your many questions I'm sure you will have for her.
Excellent. Well, yes, do let us know. We'll see if Chris can pose that in the press room at all. Obviously, within reason. We do have to ensure we're invited.
And it's only for Sloane Stephens, to be clear, right?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yes. Well, let's, before we finish up, we've got collector set to unveil for this edition. So for those of you who haven't played it before, it's our predictions challenge that we do at Grand Slams. And we have 6 players, 3 men and 3 women. And we are asking you all to predict what round you think they will get to. And if you think they're going to go all the way to the final, we've got to be specific about whether they are winning or finishing as runner-up in that final. So if you get the most correct predictions out of those 6 players, then you do win a Tennis Weekly mug. Often it does go to a tie break. So there may always be, a tie break question if we've got a draw once all our 6 players have finished their tournament, shall we say. But we'll see how everyone gets on. But we've got to reveal the players first. So we've thought long and hard who would be good to have a good mix in there. And I'm going to hand over to both of you to do the honours of revealing. So Joel, would you be able to reveal our male player picks, please?
Okay, our male picks for collector set French Open 2026 are Novak Djokovic, Gael Monfils, Rafael Jodar.
So a mix of old and new faces in there. And Chris, our female player picks, please.
We have defending champion Coco Gauff, Elina Svitolina, and Mira Andreeva.
So we've got Mr. and Mrs. Monfils in there, which is nice.
And we've got old and young as well.
Previous champions, older and younger. Yeah, so a nice mix. So get your predictions in for those 6 players. That's Djokovic, Monfils, Jodar, Gauff, Svitolina, and Andreeva. Get your predictions in before play starts on Sunday. We'll be posting those names on social media, so you don't have to remember them all. But get your predictions in via social media, via email, tennisweeklypod@gmail.com. And we wish you all the best of luck with it. We'll be participating as well, of course, and revealing our picks on our first episode next week. We'll see who ends up with the slams
this week,
of shame.
Sunday, isn't it? We'll have to be
this
revealing
week.
things.
Yeah, the opening pod from us will be on Sunday because play does start on Sunday, and will be daily throughout the next fortnight.
That is very true. We're going to be daily at Tennis Weekly HQ for our French Open coverage starting Sunday. We will be releasing our day 1 catch-up on Sunday evening UK time. We've got Chris on site as well in Paris, so we're going to get some behind-the-scenes scoops. So I'm interested to see what you get up to, Chris. But we're going to wrap up our French Open draw reaction here at Tennis Weekly HQ. We hope you've enjoyed the ride with us. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of action coming up from Roland Garros. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all your favorite podcasting platforms out there.
And if you love what you're hearing, then be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube.
And you can stay connected with us on social media. You can see all of the happenings from Roland Garros where I am on site. You can see that on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and X. The handle for that is Tennis Weekly Pod on all channels. And if you'd like to get in touch with us or email your predictions for collector set, as Kim said earlier, it's tennisweeklypod@gmail.com, or visit our website, tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we'll be back on Sunday for our French Open Day 1 catch-up. But until then, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Tennis Weekly.